Yo, chat. Did you get some water in? Did you get some food in? Because we're about to go right back into game 2, and the action won't stop. Because if you saw from game 1, that was a tense game there, Cubby.
It was tense until it all ended off of a dredge line from Yurson onto the Ziggs. A beautiful play. Reddit-worthy clip, if I do say so myself. But moving into game 2, Rafa, we've got some news for everyone that's watching the stream in the chat.
Yeah. We got a roster. We got a roster switch up. TSM are going to be putting in Sword. And I know we pointed out the stats earlier, but you know what? I think TSM has something special planned up. And when you look at teams historically, anytime that they've had a 6-man roster swap, sometimes you get a chance to observe the first game play out, and then maybe Sword has something special or something particularly planned for Sligo up his sleeve here, Cubby.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that Sword, a more supportive mid laner that we have. One of the reasons that Sword hasn't been playing as much lately is the fact that he gives up a lot of creeps in his own lane to try and support his teammates around the map. Now, something that TakeOver has yet to play would be something like the Karma or the Lulu, which we know that Sword can play Karma. So I'm wondering if they're going to go for like a Karma setup, try and set up for a really good Diana game for Hyper, or go for something like a Karma Kindred, a Karma Xin Zhao, as TSM did pick blue side. So that's a pretty good blind for the mid-jungle duo, as I know we are getting some replays of what happened that game and a lot of highlights of TakeOver, the other very talented mid laner of TSM, going off on the rise. I say that. He gets melted by Lord, though, in this play. But I promise you, he does some other good things as we dive through the rest of these replays, and this is what ended the game. Ooh, one more look.
God. Yeah, guys, let's blow this clip up for Reddit, because your son totally deserves it. We have to remember that.
Let's get a Reddit moment.
Yeah, it just celebrate Academy, guys, because these are the moments that make Academy worth watching. You know, it's not, you know, a major region play, but you have really awesome players that are on the come up. Yeah, they are playing with, you know, veterans like Cody Sun and Hanser, who are kind of giving them guidance, but you have exciting players, new players like TakeOver coming in, 19 years old, first time playing in NA, as he is Korean descent, but is a Chilean native, so representing the South American region to an extent as well. You know, I love the storylines that we get to see unfold here in Academy, and so, you know, seeing that get publicized on Reddit a little bit more is always nice to see. So it's up to you, chat. Counting on you, and only you can help Academy grow.
This message explodes 5 seconds after it reads, something like that. You know.
Oh no, not to that extent.
We need like a Mission Impossible theme for this. Get it, friend?
You know, production, can we cue some agent spy music real quick? Is that possible?
Some DMCA free Asian spy music? Yeah.
Oh, no. They say no. They can't.
Yeah, no. We're going to pass on that, as, you know, we do have to stick to our mission of getting to the next game. As, of course, I think the big storyline, Sword being subbed in. TSM did also take blue side, as I mentioned. So I think I got a blue side strat set up, something like Set, Nocturne, or maybe a Karma being flexed around with Sword. I think that's going to be the angle which TSM can use to try and take this game. Keep in mind, we've been teasing how important these games are for the standings. TSM still need the push to make that top 6. They're sitting in 7th place. Wins are needed for them to make the top 6, avoid the Tier 1 Proving Grounds tournament, where we do have some pretty decent semi-pro teams. I have a feeling that all the Academy teams are going to make it through, just as they did last year, or last split, I should say. As I think last split, semi-pro teams were a little bit stronger, but still, would rather not leave that up to chance to participate in Academy playoffs, right?
All right. Well, I would believe you, Cubby. However, it seems that I just don't be fooled, guys. It is TSM on the blue side. And one of the things I'm watching out for, we know Xin Zhao was first banned by TSM when they were on the red side. We'll have to see if Dignitas respond with the same priority here. Because, as you said, if Sword is going to be playing more than likely a more supportive mid laner, then you can either see TSM try to pick up Xin Zhao for Hyper with an enchanter in his backside is going to make them a little bit more powerful and just give them free reign to just inflict dominance in the mid game and in these team fights. But can also count on Viego as well, because he is someone that can also rely on playing in the jungle, powerful skirmishes, doesn't have as great ganks early on, but if you scale up, you have someone like Sword who is giving more resources towards their jungler. I imagine that it could be a setup where the jungler starts taking side lane farm after about 10 minutes into the game, just to accelerate them further into the game, Because if Sword is playing an enchanter like Karma and Lulu, who, so far, have not been banned during this ban phase so far, I mean, that is one way to just really get one of your other primary carries accelerated on TSM.
Could be an option with the
Xin
Viego
Zhao's
being
open.
taken off the board. Zin's open, and I really think that Xin plus Enchantress
Boom.
is why Sword is in the game, as Sword has more Enchantress play under his belt this season. And definitely a strength of Sword, getting out of lane, impacting the map. Sometimes he seeds waves when he doesn't need to, but when you're running Xin Karma or Xin Lulu, that's A-okay, right? Do everything you can to make sure that Xin Zhao is set up for success, and that is the draft that TSM is setting up for here. I want to see Dignitas' response to this, as it appears that they're going to try and take some of the stronger lane pairings away. Might be first pick Renekton here, and I was about to say the Diana trade. This is a trade that some junglers have been very vocal about, that you can trade Diana for Xin. Others are, now Zin's too strong, we have to ban him on red and deny the B1. Now we get to see if Will can answer Hyper, as this Xin Zhao likely to be empowered. I'm expecting Enchantress to come through here for TSM.
Yeah, both Lulu and Karma are open, so, you know, whatever Sword prefers, TSM Academy can also snag a priority bot lane
Might be Kalista
here for
Nautilus.
themselves, the Kalista Nautilus, actually. So we might just be holding for the Enchantress to be picked here for TSM, unless they decide that the support doesn't need to be locked in. But it worked out so well for them last time. I mean, Yurson having that game-winning hook onto spawn with the dredge line, I wouldn't be surprised if they just go for that as well. Okay, you know what? Throw all of the prep out of the window. We're going for the Mundo.
We are on a new patch, so teams going for a couple different things. Mundo would have been a likely ban away from Dignitas, as it is a new matchup that has been emerging as an answer into Renekton, as it's one where you can survive the lane, and then from there you just drastically outscale the pick as the game goes on. And speaking of outscaling, Ezreal locked in for spawn, an important pick for Dignitas, as 5 out of their 9 wins have come out of Spawn's Ezreal. He is 5-0 on the pick in Academy this split. So Dignitas, I know it's been nerfed. Divine Sunder was nerfed a little bit for ranged champions, but returning to a little bit of comfort. And this is definitely a setup where not bad for Ezreal going into the first 3 that TSM have. As the game plan for TSM, once again, they have Kalista, should be to attack bot side, whereas Dignitas, with the Renekton Diana, already have a lane to set up for this Diana to go for, to try and snowball her ahead and get a feasting champion, as Diana, of course, if you get behind, can get ugly, but if you get ahead, can be a beautiful game, as she can annihilate opponents with her upfront damage.
Yeah, so far, Dignitas Academy are not scared of any enchanters being played here for TSM. They're more concerned about the Azir play from Sword, as if you go back to Spring Split, especially during Unified Grand Prix, even though, you know, yeah, we don't talk about the CS, but the plays that Sword was making in favor of Cody's Sun, as we do see one enchanter being banned away for the Lulu. So now, I wonder if Dignitas Academy, you already have an Ezreal in the bottom lane. One of the more obnoxious lanes to play against is that Ezreal Karma. I wonder if maybe that's the play that Dignitas want to go for here.
And Dignitas do have a pretty tough choice to make, as I think I want to see a set ban here from TSM, because they either have to show the Renekton flex, or they have to pick a support blind, as they're actually going to take away Rise from Soligo. And I want to see which decision Dignitas goes for, as the only way to really cheat that and get around both is just to lock in Set, which could be an option for them, as Set can be slotted in the support role, or it could go mid or top in this composition. Doesn't feel great in the first 3 they have, but it would give them power in draft, and it seems like they're just going to go for the power pick instead, deny the combo that beat them in the last game, and take Nautilus away from Yurson.
Well, and now what is Yurson's choice here in terms of counterpick into Nautilus?
Leona. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you just slammed Leona. You're going into 2 melees in Renekton and Diana. You can handshake that matchup A-okay. You also have the power of Kalista. That does switch things up. Your son's most played is also Alistar, which pairs significantly well with Kalista, but they're going to opt for the Leona. Makes a little bit more sense, as the stuns against Renekton and Diana, that 4-second cooldown on Leona's Q, very slept on and very powerful in these team fights. So TSM are going to opt for that. And we're going to have to see how they round out things. Got a blind mid laner. And Sword, what are you going for? I teased the Enchantress combo with Xin Zhao, and that's going to be the option. That's why they're playing Sword. Take over has yet to play an Enchantress, plays more the melee assassin. Sword, known for the more supportive picks. So this makes a lot more sense for me now.
Well, Soligo, what is your answer into the Karma? As Karma doesn't really have any bad matchups. You have a relatively easy time of being able to push with the Inner Flame, the Mantra Inner Flame. So Dignitas could answer just with scaling, knowing that Karma's not going to necessarily pressure you, especially with Sword's tendency and history, not necessarily going for solo kills and lane dominance. It's just, hey, you know what, I'm pushing my lane, looking for prio for Hyper, and just empowering him through the rest of the game. Soligo, as you said, going for the scaling, the Victor. The later the game goes on, Dignitas Academy do have a really nice setup for being able to control choke points once again, thanks to that gravity field.
It's a very low-range composition from TSM, and so the fact that Victor and Ezreal can outrange pretty much anything they have is good, but they have to survive that one-item spike, and that's what we're going to keep our eyes on. Hyper and Sword. I think that's what this game is all about. Can this mid-jungle duo get ahead in a form that's significant enough where they can bully dig around, keep on securing those early dragons, which TSM did a great job of accomplishing last game. This is a setup that's very much set up to snowball the game early. So let's see if this Karma Xin Zhao can pay off, if TSM can get ahead early, because if not, if Victor and Ezreal are allowed to hit those 2-3 item spikes, the game could get hard for TSM if they don't have a significant enough lead at that point.
Dignitas Academy down 0-1. TSM Academy, they are taking their chance to slot in Sword, to give him some extra play time, to give him a chance to play against one of the tougher opponents here in the Academy roster. I mean, ever since that Dignitas did their swap of sending Yasui into the LCS roster and Soligo into the Academy, despite what criticisms that may have come their way, Soligo has continued to show dominance in terms of individual laning stats, and it is a nice benchmark for someone like Sword, who hasn't had the best results with TSM on this roster. This is a chance to see and show how well his supportive playstyle can lend itself to this TSM Academy squad.
And I know that talking with Soligo, I did mention, what's the level of competition for you in Academy? As Soligo's a mid-laner that won Academy back in summer of 2019 with 100 Thieves.
Yes, sir.
I'd say had a good showing for Dignitas in the games that he played up at the LCS level. And he specifically shouted out Jojo Pion, but he also said that he feels like the top 3 mids in Academy could compete with the NA mids in the LCS, in his humble opinion. And we're going to have to see if Sword can stand up to Soligo, a very powerful mid laner that we have playing in Academy, and try and snowball this game. Help Hyper be enabled. That's the goal here for TSM. And if they do that, they could win this game quickly, but if not, the scaling of Dignitas is to be feared. So let's keep our eyes on this TSM early game and what Hyper decides to do.
Yeah, notably, check out that Dignitas have a reasonable 3-threat composition, maybe 4-threat, depending on how well Lorla does against Mundo in the early game, if he's able to snowball. But really, a lot of the damage is coming out with initial burst from Will's Diana for the engage, and then you have follow-up DPS in Soligo and Ezreal. Whereas you look at TSM, really the damage is coming from Cody and Hyper. And so, and their damage doesn't necessarily scale that well. That's why you do have Sword on this Karma, looking to kind of extend the quality of life and life duration of both of their damage sources, as they can kind of last a little bit into the later parts of the mid game. But if you get to that late game status where Soligo is on 3 items, Ezreal's on 3 items, then Dignitas will have better times. Yeah. So TSM is a little bit of on a clock here.
And the one matchup they aren't going to win early is going to be this top lane matchup where Mundo will get shoved in for about the first 7 to 9 levels of going up against Renekton. Of course, Renekton, pick we're all pretty common with, but it's been fun watching Mundo as a counter that, over time does okay, and over time Haunter, trade a flash.
Yep, flash for flash. Lorlo taking advantage of the fact that he had higher stats early on. You have to respect those level differences, as it means so much early on in the game where the base HP is super low, as Will waits for Hyper to walk past him, goes on to Sword, but now he's expended a lot of his gap close already, has to burn the flash as Hyper goes in for the knockup. One more auto attack from Sword is going to be able to do it. First blood does go over to Hyper, but an answer back from Will under the tower makes it even for Dignitas.
I like the aggression from Hyper, but flashed a little bit too far forward, ate the tower shot, and that's why we have the even trade. A trade that, even though it's first blood, going over to Hyper, I feel does benefit Will. The fact that he's able to at least trade out, as a very aggressive play coming out of the 16-year-old jungler for Dignitas Academy. Going up against this mid-jungle duo, it's not a matchup that you win early, but that trade, that tower shot being taken by Hyper, that's the big difference. And props to Will for at least being the trade that one out.
I definitely favor Hyper as well, because check this out. He didn't have red buff when he went in for that engage. Will did, so losing out on red buff does decrease your ability to skirmish early on as a jungler. As Will picking up blue buff is not going to be as useful, whereas the red buff burn for Hyper means that when the next time he goes for a skirmish or for a gank, that a little bit of slow on the burn on the buff is going to give him a little bit of an extra advantage.
So, but we could have a rinse and repeat here, as Soligo, Sword, I should say, going to not TP back into mid, but does still have TP available, as there is a ward that is not spotted by Dignitas on that blue buff, and Hyper, having Ding level 4, is going to clear this out. JJ and Dignitas are aware, but your son's rotating over, and Will's still down a level.
Cody Suns is coming too.
Fight. Yeah.
Will's is trying to sneak this blue buff here. TSM are trying to fall in. They don't manage to burn Will off of the blue buff, but looks like they might be able to take this Gromp. Smite away does put a camp advantage in Hyper's favor, as a Xin Zhao going into into the Diana matchup. And they have to take the safe rate route as well. A nice ward as well, making sure that Will is being spotted out and looking for a potential counter gank. It's not going to be had, but now we have to... Oh, no, this is going to be disaster. Teleport coming in from top lane. Sword is on the rotation. We're about to have a 5-on-3 brawl here. Spawn is going to have to flash early, but JJ doesn't have the same luxury as he's already goes down.
A lot invested there. The Haunter TP is going to put him pretty far behind in that top lane matchup. As Lorlo can shove it out for free, but that ward, the deep ward, TSM take advantage of it, take down another member of Dignitas, as JJ has to fall for the sins committed by their team. And I love the fact that they're really focusing on driving home this early lead for Hyper. They realize that Xin Zhao wins this matchup so hard, levels 1 through 5, and they're really trying to play around and play through the young green jungler they have on the side of TSM.
And not just jungle here for Hyper, but also this place it happened on the bottom side of the map. Unfortunately for Cody Sun, he wasn't there, so he didn't get a chance to partake in any local assist gold. Maybe he got some experience if he was close by, but he didn't get any damage down. But still, accelerating your leads through the jungle and the bottom side of the map for TSM is how you want to be playing this game, because you get to that mid game faster, you can start acting on your power spikes faster, and then those objective fights and those skirmishes are going to be easier for you to complete as TSM, because we have to remind our viewers at home, the TSM kind of on a clock, kind of on a timer with this composition against Dignitas.
And that's why I want to keep our eyes on Hyper. He's going to get his camps back. He wants to hit level 6, but I think after Raptors, he's going to look at that dragon. But that is a window that Dignitas might be able to respond to. That's why I was saying that, a lot was burned by Haunter to get that singular kill over to JJ. And honestly, for Dig, it's not that bad, because now they have TP advantage, and Lorlo rather ahead, had to burn some gold on getting the Executioner's Calling for this lane, going up against Mundu, of course, has a lot of sustain. But they do have TP advantage, and TSM will be going for this dragon after the Raptor camp. So I want to see if Dignitas give, or if they choose to maybe contest, because that is an option they have, and they would have a member advantage.
It would be difficult because Haunter doesn't have any hard crowd control to stop Lorlo from being able to teleport. So even the best thing that Haunter can do is just try to continue pushing into Lorlo's face. He needs to be able to make Lorlo to choose between teleporting and assisting for a potential dragon fight, or losing out on a huge wave, stacking into the turret, which is why Haunter is trying to do his best to push into the turret, as Haunter is going to go for potentially some defensive vision. Walks out of...
on the dragon.
Yeah, they're starting it up.
Yeah, they're going to give.
Lorlo can just teleport right in the face of Haunter. I don't think he has enough damage as Dignitas. We're going to see it.
Oh,
Lorlo,
here we go.
Yeah, he gets the teleport. TSM have to make like the win. They flash over.
Oh, no.
Dignitas did not make the play happen fast enough. TSM just get away with murder.
Oh, that flash coming out from Hyper saves his life and gets the TP on Lorlo for free. So just like that, the TP advantage that Dig had burned for naught. As TSM gets a return on the map, and now all eyes on Hyper once again. How does he path? Where's the next play? Can Sword help out? He still has TP. As Lorlo taking advantage of the fact that he still wins the match for this double. Going to trade his ult, get a big chunk out of Haunter. As we return to a quiet map.
Yeah, Lorlo did rush the Executioner's Calling, so even through the ulti of Haunter, he had to disengage first before popping the ulti off, otherwise the healing would have been cut a major amount. Now both ultimates have been traded. Haunter should be able to still match and stay in lane in that matchup in the top lane, but for bottom lane, Hyper, this is a decently sized wave, but Hyper doesn't think that it's going to be good enough to make the dive, so he's going to take the recalls here.
And syncing up with Hyper, there's actually a window for Dignitas to secure that Rift Herald. Nice win from them. We're going to have to see how TSM, having seeded that, I want to see them make a play bot lane. I feel like 4-manning with Sword, they have TP. Hyper is still continuing to clear top to bot. That tells me that TSM want to try and make a play around this Kalista. And a dive might be in the cards for them here in 2 minutes. We're going to have to see if they are able to execute that or if they go for something else.
Yeah, Rift Herald looks like it's already been secured for Dignitas. Will's able to pick that up off of the back of being able to spawn out Hyper as he crossed over a pink ward into that bottom quadrant. Rift Herald is now available for Dignitas. I wonder, since Lorlo does have a little bit of the push advantage and the CS advantage, that they want to send it into the top lane, or if there's another lane that they want to break.
You just have a big fight breaking out bot lane now. As 3 minutes until the Dragon, the next point of contention on the map. But the pathing coming out from TSM and the fact that they have to snowball this game early, I think after Hyper gets that red buff, might be looking to make an impact on the bot lane. As Spawn and JJ, that lane will be shoving out, and could potentially be a window for Sword to come get involved on the Karma. Of course, subbing in for this matchup for Takeover, taking advantage of the 2 mid laners they have and the one that plays more Enchantresses. Sword basing here. Here to see if he TPs mid to get priority or if he walks back. I think that TSM, once again, that's the only play they really have on the map. Setting up for this bot lane dive and taking advantage of the fact that Lorlo doesn't have TP to answer.
Soligo already pushing out this lane. Sword is being able to react now. Soligo does have teleport, is going to be... Not sure if he has his first item completed yet. Maybe just another component. Phoenix Codex. I don't see any wards into the bottom half of this alcove here for Dignitas, so no flanks from Soligo. Lorlo is getting pushed in the wave right by Hanser by now. Hanser's going to have teleport advantage in just a few more seconds. Could be a play that could be counteracted onto the bottom side of the map as Hyper is waiting in this bottom lane bush right now. Dignitas have no idea.
I think with Yursan's positioning, Dignitas have a little bit of an idea about what's going on. Okay. As Will is ripping towards bot lane too, and they're going to try and go on the timer. Can they get it?
Lockdown onto JJ. He's got nowhere else to run. No flash available, and they have enough damage to take him down.
Easy play from TSM. Nice setup. We read that one. The fact that Hyper was pathing top to bot. They don't have to commit a TP. And now, because JJ burned flash, they have another timer that they could potentially use to take down the Nautilus yet again. As Will is here to answer on Cody-san. Soligo roam down as well. Does Cody-san step up or respect it? He steps back. Is going to cast the recall. It should be shut down by Spawn. But a nice win for TSM.
Yeah, Lorlo actually popped ulti, but it doesn't seem like Hanser burnt his ultimate in response. Still has that teleport advantage, still has ultimate available in case any more action breaks out on the bottom half of the map. So this is a great position for Hanser to be in lane-wise, as Hanser just surviving this part, and he already has the Anathema's Chains. We have seen this tech already being breaking out in LCS and a little bit of semi-pro. And for those that don't know about the new item, you know, Cubby, I'll give you a chance to break it out if we don't get any further action. This is Rift Herald's about to crash, and we might have a fight.
Here comes TPs.
Double teleport coming in from Sword and Hanser. They're going to have a 4-on-3 at the moment. Another teleport is going to come in from Soligo, but it might be a little too late. Will is already going to get burned down. Soligo popping the Chaos Storm, trying to look down for Cody-san, but he's already flashing away. Hanser soaking up as much damage as he can, and now Hyper is here for the reinforcements. The full 5-man squad is here. Lorlo cannot answer, so he's just going to try to get some plates on the top side of the map, but so many members from Dignitas will fall. They're diving down the turrets. Hyper's taking the turret aggro, and they make the dive successful.
Dignitas play right into the hand of TSM. We were talking about the TP advantage. You mentioned that Hanser has his TP back up. Guess what, Lorlo? The only point of power that you had in this early game, that's down. So TSM, once they see them past that midpoint, instant double teleport coming out from them. Great team play. Yursan, yes, he goes down, but buying time for your team to wipe the rest of the fight. Great play from TSM as Dignitas not respecting the fact that that play could have made. They get punished, and now TSM with this Karma Xin Zhao. This is the play they needed to break the game open. They've done it. They have the second dragon in their pockets, and it should be all them from here. This is a huge deficit for the Victor and the Ezreal to come back from.
TSM just playing the map beautifully, knowing their teleport advantages, knowing their timers as well. Dignitas not respecting it, as you already called out. Lorlo did manage to get 3 more plates into that top lane, but at what cost? He does get the Gore Drinker. He will have teleport advantage over Haunter, so now Dignitas, their way of back into this game is going to have to be on Lorlo, either looking for a flank onto one of the members of TSM, maybe Sword or Hyper, who do have shutdown bonuses to give up. Dignitas, they are going to have to stall out for the next 10-15 minutes, because that is where the rest of their composition will come online.
I think any play that Dignitas can make, it's off the back of a JJ depth charge. Maybe they can find a member of TSM isolated, but if I'm TSM at this point, you just throw Karma in a side lane, and you have Xin Zhao play to whatever side lane Karma's in and try and find picks. As you mentioned it, Victor, Ezreal, still need a lot of time to come online. Haven't even finished that first mythic item, and won't really spike until the second item is completed. As this is a tough trough for Dignitas to fight through. And with TSM having a 2k goldie, the map should be theirs. As I'm curious to see if they even fight the next dragon. That's going to be a tough decision for Dig to make, right? They're still going to be very far behind TSM at that point. As TSM, yet again, they spot out JJ on that ward, so this enables them to have more freedom around the map. And you can see Sword and Hyper walking up top since this support has been spotted. They might hunt down Lord, though, try and get the one powerful point for Dignitas off the map.
Yes, Flash and Teleport, but if you're able to burn Summoners, it's going to make Lorlo's position even weaker to begin with. Dignitas already committing their 3 members to the bottom side of the map, now are making the fast rotation. Rift Herald is about to spawn in the next 15-30 seconds here. TSM are trying to get as much damage onto the turret, try to open up the map as much as possible. As Dignitas answering back, looking for mid-priority, they'll be able to have the first shove. Rift Herald is available for the taking, as Dignitas, they might be conceding a Rift Herald control, as they just want to take resources away from the bottom half of the jungle. Yeah,
I love what TSM are doing, like understanding their team composition as Hyper, playing through the Xin Zhao with the Karma, right? And because they were able to proxy that way behind the turret, that's a free Rift Herald now for the side of TSM. Yet again, they can use that to try and break open the mid turret, which Victor has done a good job of keeping alive, but against second Shelly, that's rather tough. And meanwhile, Dignitas trying to go for this play on Haunter. It's not easy, but they're going to try and send it now.
He's going to have to pop the ulti sometime soon. There is no Grievous wounds from any of these members except for the Ignite, and so I take that back. Thankfully, Ignite from JJ is able to help Will take down Haunter, despite the flash and the ultimate being burned down. And Dignitas do find a little bit of reprieve, being able to take down one of the champions. Yeah, it stalls out the game, and it gives them a little bit of influx gold from that turret being taken down.
Much needed play from Dignitas, as they are at a deficit. They're fighting TSM at the point where TSM's count is strong, and they manage to trade evenly because they find that play. But TSM now looking for the response. So do Hyper and Sword try and go for this? Thor, though, does have access to everything, and it's rather fed on this Gore Drinker Renekton, so they're just going to back off and base early and try and get tempo, or first say, on the map for this upcoming dragon, which Dignitas also based early for. And this is the next point of contention, Rafa. 90 seconds away. Do Dignitas even decide to fight TSM? They're still in their power trough. We don't have the completed Mirana yet for Ezreal. We do not have a Seraph's or a second item on Victor. And Victor only has 2 evolves, so doesn't even have the slow yet in their kit. But they might have to fight this, because giving up Soul Point makes every dragon rather difficult to bridge going up against TSM. Yes, they have the scaling, but giving away a Mountain Soul would break that and bridge TSM into the later stages of the game. So a tough decision that Dig has to face now.
Yeah, Rift Herald is going to be spawned down now in anticipation, trying to break open this turret. The TSM will take this opportunity to try and buy some time to get some vision control into the bottom quadrant of this jungle. Start marking out these entrance points as Dignitas, great response, dedicating 4 members to this mid lane, ensure that TSM don't get any advantageous vision. And right now, vision is being cleared out from Dignitas, so it's going to make the entry point into this dragon a little bit more difficult. Lorlo still has teleport advantage, and even though Dignitas are operating on less than powerful power spikes here, Soligo did complete Liandry's Torment. There is a Divine Sunderer, as a Dredgeline flash from JJ is going to land right onto Hyper. That is a focal point. TP is coming in from Lorlo. It's going to be great. And it's a beautiful Moonfall, trying to buy as much time as they can, but they lost Soligo in the fight, and will have to flash over the wall, and now they have nowhere else to run. Hyper's trying to follow up. The stopwatch is going to be nice from Will, trying to buy some time, but Lorlo is just not strong enough to take down any of the members of the rest of TSM, because you have this Karma, who is powering up with Mantra Inspire Shields, and TSM don't drop a single member.
Oh, it's too early for Dignitas to fight in this game, and Soligo got picked off, died immediately, didn't even get the ultimate down on the Victor. as Saligo was caught off guard by the damage from the Xin Zhao, empowered by the Karma. And because of that, TSM, they take the fight, they take the third dragon, and now it's a truly doomed game state for Dignitas. So difficult to come back from this. Is once again, we mentioned the fact they were in a power trough. They don't have those second items completed, but they thought they could pull it off. The fact that Ezreal and Victor had map positioning, but it wasn't enough. Is Hyper able to turn it around and watch Saligo just melt?
Right here,
No
the
ultimate.
Solofa, the counter engage
beautiful
from
Yurson.
Yurson is just so damn good, and being able to isolate one of the damage sources. And because look at Spawn, Spawn can't get in the fight. He can't throw out enough Mystic
He's
shots.
doing what he
and
can,
damage.
but yeah.
At this point, with only a Divine Sunder, it's not enough damage to make those Mystic shots count. You would have to buy more time and being able to set up poke before you go for those engages. Because you're in that engage, Dignitas is really relying on the raw burst of Will and Lorlo to get in the damage to take down Hyper. But Crescent's Guard as well was well timed, being able to negate a lot of damage that was coming in from the damage dealers for Dignitas. And I believe we do have a little bit of a pause in our production feed, as not sure if we're still being sent to live.
Oh no, we're still going. It's 1935, Rafa. You gotta pick up and keep up with this game as TSM are trying to snowball the rest of this one to wrap up a clean game from them.
Okay.
4-0 and 6 respectively for both Karma and Xin Zhao.
All right,
Xin Zhao, of course,
I'm
dropped
back.
to life,
I'm back.
but
okay.
all right, we're good to go.
My screen froze, and I was kind of Monka Wing of like, oh no, I have lost connection into the game, just like Dignitas potentially losing out on this game. 4,000 gold down, 2 kills to 11. Soul point for TSM, as they're going to try to find something on the Haunter. He doesn't have flash, but he has the ultimate, as there's no Grievous Wounds yet being applied, as Will doesn't have any, and
That's
Lorlo
tanky
cannot
Mundo.
gap close, as this is the power of Mundo, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's the let your team win the map, and then, well, once you hit this point of the game, you're going to win the rest of the game for your squad, as Antheme's changed. You wanted me to bring it up earlier. This item, very powerful. One of the reasons, 108% gold efficiency without even including the passive, which increases the CC duration on whoever you target that you're able to deliver. I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't get Yurson rushing it. I think it's very powerful on the Ona, the fact that you can full combo
That
even through
Nautilus.
tenacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be tricky for whoever is selected. Hopefully we get a spectator, sign to see who Haunter selected. I assume it's going to be Victor, the primary damage dealer for Dig, and it should just enable for Mundo to run through the rest of the team. And of course, taking that 30% reduced damage from a Victor or an Ezreal, pretty good if you are Dr. Mundo, as he's going to try and make this game happen for TSM, who have played it clean to this point, as we're going to have to see if they try to bait the Baron, or if they are just waiting for this Mountain Soul. They're so far ahead and are at the big power spikes for all their champions at the moment.
2 items
It's going to be
on.
so difficult for Dig to fight this, yeah.
Yeah, 2 items on Sword with the Staff of Flowing Water now completed. Haunter, also, thankfully, because Anathema's Chains is very cheap as an item, is able to pick up the Frostfire Gauntlet relatively soon, despite being one of the only 2 members that have a death on the TSM squad. But the rest of the members of TSM, with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, I imagine that it should be enough time to be able to pick up a second item power spike for members like Hyper. Well, actually, looking at his items, he invested into a Negatron Cloak. So that second item, Sterix Gauge, is going to take a little bit longer to come online before he's able to
Yeah, I
complete
can't really
it.
blame him for that investment, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
going
it's-
up against Diana Victor, that's not that bad.
Yeah, no. It's a good investment. And it's forcing Salido now to go Void Staff second. And he already had to invest into an Oblivion Orb just for extra Grievous Wounds, dealing with Haunter. And, all these champions do have some powerful healing. So the Grievous Wounds investment is very much necessary, as the rest of Dignitas members are trying to barrel down mid lane, but TSM say, okay, we'll trade.
Yeah, it's actually a trade up, though, for Dig. I'd say taking down that turret a little bit more important to them. And once again, they need to get Victor and Ezreal in the river early. This is the consequence of giving up that last dragon. They're forced to fight, even though they're at a disadvantage. Need to land as much poke as they can and try and kite out the Xin Zhao and keep Saligo alive this time around. That was the big difference in the last fight. The fact that Victor went down first, thanks to a nice combo from Yurson and Hyper. See if TSM can replicate that in this one, as at least Ezreal and Victor have the right positioning on the map. But I love the positioning coming out from Yurson and Hyper synced up. Hyper said that one of the improvements that he's made in the early stages is working with his support We have to see if these two can work together to take down Dignitas and secure this game, as Soul Point for them is on the map.
Lurlo has to teleport early as the dragon is about to be started up here. Dignitas all funneling from one side of the choke. Monster is threatening on another choke here as Lurlo now going to come in for the re-engage. Will, beautiful moonfall into the backline, and Lurlo finds Cody's son. He's going to get shut down. And now this might be a fight that Dignitas may be able to win out, as the majority of the members from TSM have to scatter. They have to concede this dragon, but they might look for the retake. Remember, Hyper and Sword on the Xin Zhao Karma. They can take extended fights, but they are numbers down. They are members down. There's TP available for Sword. He's able to get out before the cold meat comes out from Lurlo. And Haunter is still full health. He was able to use his ultimate to come back up.
He's so big. Haunter's going to be so tough to deal with, and I don't even know if Dignitas can approach this. You can see Haunter just buying time with the Cleavers, trying to stop them from even starting up this Drake to get the death timers back for TSM. As Yursan's going to take a reset, TSM will group around the bottom side now in the river.
Soligo has teleport too.
They can't win this 3v3. This is winning for TSM. We're getting an awkward standoff where they're waiting for Soligo now to get back, see if they can get a numbers advantage. This is the only window that Dig can use. Let's see if they go for it.
Okay, a Storm is not available for Soligo. He already used it in the other fight, but it's coming back up again.
They have to go for it.
Will has Moonfall potentially up. Dignitas, they have to spawn. Whereas TSM,
no.
It's better for them to just wait for the members to come back up.
Yeah.
Cody's son is walking back. We're about to get a round 2 here, Cubby. So get ready to fight as the Mortal Kombat sound effects are starting to go into full flare here. True Shot Barrage comes out, hits a couple members on the backside. Still no engage tools useful and are available for Dignitas here. They're still waiting on cooldowns. Chaos Storm is now available. Will is potentially looking for Moonfall, but the Mountain Soul has been secured for TSM, and they're looking to take this fight now on their favor. There's not many flashes for the members of Dignitas, so they don't have access to the backline. TSM, Haunter may drop here, but he's still soaking up so much damage, and he still doesn't go down. And now TSM, they're on the full aggressive. They're the ones running down the members of Dignitas. So Soligo has the flash over the wall, but TSM get all that they wanted. They lose Haunter's spawn, finds a stray kill into the backline, but still, TSM with the Mountain Soul, they are looking right at the Baron now.
And because Dignitas couldn't pull the trigger, TSM, they just wait, they bide their time, and guess what? They find the winning fight for themselves. As with that goal lead, once they regroup as 5, it's impossible for Dig to get over the wall, as Lurlo was going for the flank, but just never was able to pull the trigger. And TSM, they used that to take the dragon for themselves, and a crazy 2 minutes of gameplay that we had, but in the end, TSM are the ones that secure the Mountain Soul and continue to take the steps necessary to secure this game with their comp that spikes early. As playing through Hyper has worked out, and his sub-in for Sword, both sitting at 5-1-10, 5-0-10 respectively. As look at this, Lurlo was sitting over the wall the entire time. He never felt comfortable to dash in and make the play happen. And guess what? They just use Haunter's health bar to trade with Soligo's so they can open up a window for them to just burn the dragon. And with Kalista around, that's exactly what they do. Dignitas Will wasn't even close to being in range to steal. Guarantees the soul going over, and from there, they just wipe the fight, using their gold lead, using the fact they have soul, using the fact Dignitas are not in the right position. As TSM take this one clean,
you have to remember, you have to remember too, Cubby, that this is the second fight. This wasn't the first fight where Dignitas did get a numbers advantage. They took down Cody's son.
It was a great flank from Lurlo.
Yeah, it was a great flank from Lurlo, but he expended both teleport and flash. Going into the second fight, he doesn't have access to those same tools, so it's harder to make that same pick onto the backline as possible, because now when flashes are down, Cody's son on Kalista, he has the ability and the mobility to be able to just kite around and play back. You also have Sword popping up Mantra shields as well to give them the movement speed to be able to navigate away from these backline threats, as now they're on the offensive once again. Oh my god, the chain CC right into Will. He's pops the Sonya's Hourglass, but for how long? He doesn't have flash. The Moonfall is going to come out, but it's only delaying the inevitable. He goes down. No jungler for Dignitas, and TSM are on the siege.
TSM, they see one out of position. You can see Lurlo was actually setting up for a flank, but because they pick off the jungler Will, that smite off the table for 30 seconds. I think they're going to turn on this Baron, and the question is, do they stick it or do they turn? Because Haunter can buy so much time with the cleavers with how tanky he is, and Yursan in position to catch out anyone that walks stray. They should check this with Mystic Shots. Yursan rightly dodges, and Haunter, oh my god, him plus Karma. I thought Xin Karma was scary. Look at this Mundo.
Dude, I mean, he's a walking beefcake. And now he's just going to run forward. He has the ultimate. He's popping it. They have Grievous Wound, so it's going to cut down the healing that is coming out from the Mundo. Cody's son is going to be able to secure it thanks to being Kalista. Lurlo tries to jump over the wall, pops the stopwatch, but doesn't have flash, so he is gone. TSM take Baron. Don't lose a single member. Dignitas, now they are fighting for their lives in this series.
Trying to put the finishing touches on a 2-0. one that TSM desperately needed to move up in the standings, and doing it with both mid laners, Rafa. I know a lot of people with Sword subbing in after a win where Takeover looked good. We were kind of scratching our heads before we realized, like, oh wait, they're going to be on blue side. Maybe they have something special planned. The special plan, Karma, an Enchantress for Sword, going back to something that he was very strong at in the last Proving Grounds, playing this Karma, impacting the map. And Sword has done just this, as him and Hyper, the two of the younger members, the less experienced members of TSM, they put the onus on them to carry this game they have. As TSM now with his 8k gold advantage, looking nice in the purple suits with the buffs around their champions. Looking to put the finishing touches, are going to group up bot and start the 4-1 siege.
Yeah, when you look at the spring split performances from Sword, this is a huge turnaround. He looks a lot more comfortable in his playstyle, where he's not being forced onto playmakers where he does have to do things like the Lee Sin and the Azir. While the mechanics can definitely be there, he gave up way too many resources on the Karma. That's fine. You can go down a few waves of CS as long as you're getting your power spikes in Shirelli's Reverie and a Moonstaff of Flowing Water, because they're relatively cheaper as Hyper. They get caught out by this gravity field. But because he has Sword in his back pocket, further empowering him and the rest of the members, this is exactly Sword's comfort zone. This is where TSM are just, really identifying the playstyle that they want with this mid laner pick. And now they're just sieging in. They're opening up onto the inhibitors of this bottom half of the map. Dignitas have Lorlo on the flank. He just teleported in, but they spot him, so they're already trying to play back. Hanser's going to just play bodyguard here. A little body block. They've already announced that Lorlo is there in the back lines. He can't get out. He's trying to dash over, but he's just going to get capped at guard, and now TSM are on the full engage. They're on the front. Beautiful crescent guard from Hyper. Scatters 3 members, and he flashes in forward onto Soligo, and JJ's now on the run. Spawn trying to do as much as with the damages from the Mystic shots, but it's just not going to be enough, and Lorlo finally arriving to the party, but because Hanser kept him out of the bay, he was the bouncer for the club that the Lorlo wanted to be at. The party is already gone and over. Everyone's getting the last calls, last drinks, no more, because TSM, they're the ones cleaning up house, and they're ready to dive. They lost a couple members there, but TSM should be able to close out this game regardless.
Last call kind of bit them in the butt there, as they will take Spawn
kinda
down and take
out of the bar.
against Dignitas Academy. 23-6, a clean game, and a beautiful substitution coming out from TSM, utilizing that flexibility that they have with their roster. As Sword 5-0-17 on Karma, securing the win, securing the 2-0, and for TSM, a much-needed one to keep on rushing towards that top 6, avoid the Proving Grounds Tier 1 event, and make sure that they're locked in for Proving Grounds in September.
If they can make that top 6 spot, they don't have to play for Proving Grounds lives over in the Unified Grand Prix, which will be taking place in August. But just because they're not playing in Unified Grand Prix doesn't mean they're just going to be taking a month-long break, because they'll be playing for the Academy playoffs, and that will determine their seeding as well. And the way that they are ramping up, the way that they are identifying different play styles with Sword and Takeover in the roster, this is a great time for TSM to be able to, this was probably the best matchup they could have had in their current schedule to try the strategy out, and it works out beautifully, because with or without Takeover in the mid lane, the macro play was still just as good.
And it really started on this play. Lorlo doesn't have TP. Hanser did. Dignitas stepped too far up. They get heavily punished, and this was what broke the camel's back. Got TSM that massive lead, and from there, they did not look back at any point. As a special shout out to Hyper and Yurson syncing up in this fight too. Look at Soligo. Just Yurson instantly committing with the E flash, following up with the solar flare before the E even connects. Chaining the CC on the Soligo. No, they had flash, had ult, neither got off because of how well Yurson played that fight. As TSM looking good in these 2 games. I know that you are especially high on them, especially with Takeover in the roster, Rafa. But they proved that they can win with both mid laners here, and 2 convincing victories for them.
And this is going to be great for upcoming best of 3s and best of 5s going into playoffs, if they can make that push to push the Academy playoffs, or even go to Unified Grand Prix, because even though they would be one of the bottom 4 teams going into that tournament, apart from Wildcard Red, I have full confidence that TSM Academy as a roster would be on the top end of teams that come out as the seeds going into that Unified Grand Prix Tier 1 tournament. So, and being able to show diversity of playstyles between these 2 mid laners, I think is a great thing to have for extended series. As I am getting word from production, Mr. Cubby, We will be having the winning 80 carry and Cody Sun in the interview with us once we return after these replays here. So, already, TSM Academy, whether they are able to make it to Academy playoffs or they're able to, only go to Unified Grand Prix, I think they're in a good spot right now to make it to either one.
I mean, if all you can do is just keep on playing good league and winning games, right? And kind of curious to talk to Cody-san about what he thinks and what their plans are with TSM moving forward. As I'm getting word that we're about to hop on in and talk to the victorious marksman for TSM Academy.
All right. Well, our Verizon post-game series interview is with Cody Sun, the winning 80 carry for TSM Academy. First of all, congratulations, my dude. First of all, I kind of want to ask, what was the decision behind, giving Sword the reins for Game 2 in this series against Dignitas?
I mean, for our team right now, we think both mid laners are really good, and we have diverse play styles and champion pools for both of them. Yeah. So I think it's just fair for both sides of the party to play the games.
Yeah, well, it's great seeing that flexibility and the special strat, leaning on Sword's Karma, pairing that up with Xin Zhao to find a win. I know for you specifically, 2 games of Kalista, you've been mostly playing Kai'Sa, Tristana throughout the split of Academy. For you, was the Kalista more of a special strat that you prep just for Dignitas, or a pick that you feel like is really powerful in the meta, and that's why you're leaning on it more now?
Yeah, so I think with so many patch changes, basically the bot lane meta especially is shifted a lot away from scaling and more for like early game prio and just winning laning phase, stacking the dragons, playing for objectives, stuff like that. So I do think Kalista is really strong in this patch, and yeah, I'm just ready to line pick it anytime it's up. But also, of course, I have counters to it too. So
I would love to see. I don't know if does that mean we're going to see Draven anytime soon from you, Cody?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that tease. Cody-san, I know that with the late start to the series, we are going to let you go either quickly, but before we let you go, I want to give you the floor. Do you have any thank yous, shout-outs, anything you'd like to share with us before we let you
go? Yeah, thank you for all the fans, for all the support for me and myself, and also the team. I think we've definitely had a rough start to the split, but we're finding our footing now, and yeah, we're gonna be really strong going into playoffs.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely poised to make a run for one of the spots into playoffs, and then it'll be a tight race, as I think you guys have been developing such diverse playstyles, whether it is takeover or sort of in the mid lane. So congratulations to you on winning this series, and we'll see you tomorrow for Academy, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Good stuff. I hope we get the Draven now. Man, dude, like, Cody-san
you just love, like, weird picks. Like, that's, like, why
it's so fun, man!
Yeah.
Like, because then you get to see some fresh champions being breaking into the mold, but also, like, it shows that the teams are thinking about, like, thinking outside the box, And I love it when, as meta develops, it doesn't become stale, because people, players are already thinking about, like, okay, well, if this is in the meta, then this can emerge as a meta. And, if we see an Akali game in one of these next series, I will talk to you about my dark tech that I want to see teams breaking out. I know you're rolling your eyes right now, right. But I'll propose it to you soon.
Well, Rafa Dark Tech is a special sort of Dark Tech, but hey, I like talking with Cody-san. He mentioned that they have 2 mid laners with unique playstyles. They can play around both of them, and I think for TSM, they proved that in this set today. Something that other teams are going to have to stay on their toes for, whether it's a sword or a takeover game. TSM have a lot of ways they can beat you and are really starting to hit their stride, as Cody-san mentioned, in this back half of the season. So good to see the development out of them.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break as we get ready for our second series of the day, which is going to be Team Liquid and Cloud9. Potentially our most exciting series and our closest one of the day, as both are sitting 3rd and 4th, respectively. Or might be flip-flopped here, as one of them is going to be coming out on top, and it's going to be a close one. So you better hold on to your butts as we get ready for the second series.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
It's so much more than just a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, as well as Discovery Plus, with a Galaxy S21 plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.